The moment I saw him standing there, grinning like he owned the world, my chest tightened. Marcus, my husband, the man I had loved for over a decade, and now he was marrying Tiffany, the woman he had been sneaking around with behind my back for months. Every photo, every story, every whisper I had ignored suddenly slammed into me. I had known something was off. The late nights, the business trips, the whispered phone calls, but I had trusted him. Foolish me. We had built a life together, a house in Atlanta, a joint account that allowed us some luxuries, a circle of friends who adored us as a couple, and he had thrown all of that away for her. The humiliation was tangible. I felt my stomach twist, not just because of the betrayal, but because he thought I would crumble, that I would beg for forgiveness or weep in some pathetic corner while he paraded around his mistress in my wedding dress colors. As I walked into the reception hall, I forced my face into a mask of composure. My heels clicked deliberately against the polished floor. Tiffany's smile faltered when our eyes met. Marcus looked stunned for a brief second before putting on his charming grin. But I didn't come here to cry or to plead. I had a plan. Months ago, when I signed the divorce papers, I had quietly canceled all of our joint cards, drained all the accounts, and moved every dime into my own. I had left behind not a trace of access for him. He was walking into a financial trap under the guise of a celebration, and I would enjoy every second of watching it unfold. The guests laughed, glasses clinking, but I barely heard them. Every detail was seared into my mind. Tiffany's awkward attempts at charm, Marcus's nervous energy, the smug satisfaction in his eyes. He thought he had won. He hadn't. Not even close. I watched from my seat as the caterers began to serve dinner. My phone vibrated silently in my clutch. Confirmation after confirmation. Every major credit line in our names had been canceled, all automatic transfers reversed, every hidden savings account frozen under my counsel. I had done the work months in advance, quietly, meticulously. It had been painful, yes, but nothing compared to the delight I would feel when Marcus realized he was utterly powerless. When it came time for speeches, I clinked my glass, attention drawn to me. The room hushed. Tiffany whispered to Marcus, "What is she doing?" But I ignored them. Marcus rose to speak first, expecting applause, expecting adoration. He wanted this to be about him, about how far he had come without me. But I had one sentence prepared, one small line that would undo his carefully crafted fantasy. "Congratulations, Marcus," I said, my voice calm, unwavering, carrying through the hall, "on being completely broke." The room went silent. Tiffany gasped. Marcus froze mid-toast, eyes wide. I watched as color drained from his face. He opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. The bank alerts I had sent to my phone were already being forwarded by guests to him. Every credit card declined, every account frozen, every transaction blocked. The man who had always controlled everything suddenly had no control over a single thing. Marcus's ego crumbled in real time. Tiffany tried to comfort him, whispering assurances that it was probably a mistake, some technical error. But Marcus couldn't speak, couldn't fix, couldn't buy his way out of the mess. He had built his life around appearances, around power, and now that power was gone in front of everyone he knew. I watched, seated elegantly, sipping champagne, while he fumbled with his phone, trying desperately to call his bank. Every attempt failed, every number unreachable. His company credit cards? Frozen. Tiffany's wedding gown designer bill? Declined. The limousine? Canceled. The private DJ? Sent packing. All because I had quietly orchestrated it months ago. The humiliation wasn't just financial, it was social, emotional, existential. Marcus, who had once commanded boardrooms and our household alike, was now a trembling, defeated man. Guests whispered, shocked. Some glanced at me, unsure whether to admire or pity. But I didn't care. This wasn't for them. This was for me. For every night I cried, for every second I had felt betrayed. I leaned toward Tiffany and whispered, soft enough for only her to hear, "You're welcome for this free lesson in loyalty." She paled. I could see the realization dawn. This wasn't some random mishap. This was calculated, precise, inevitable. By the end of the evening, Marcus had tried to salvage what he could. The expensive gift registry? Declined. The honeymoon flights? Cancelled. Every attempt at salvaging dignity failed spectacularly. I had left one last touch, a legal hold that prevented him from accessing any joint assets for the next 30 days. He would think he had recovered, only to find out he had a ticking financial time bomb. As the guests began to leave, murmuring about the dramatic turn of events, I smiled. My revenge wasn't loud, flashy, or violent. It was intellectual, strategic, humiliating, painful, and it would linger far longer than any public confrontation could. I left the hall gracefully, heels clicking, head high. Marcus was left in the center of the room, staring at his empty bank alerts, empty accounts, and empty pride. He had lost everything: money, status, control, simply because I had been smarter, calmer, and far more patient than he had ever imagined. Walking into the night, I felt a strange serenity. I hadn't just reclaimed my power, I had annihilated his in a single sentence, and it had been exquisite.